What's the dumbest way you've managed to get laid? College. Me 20/M. Halloween. Decide I want to be cop. Buy funny cop outfit from Comedy Central show. Dumb me gets real handcuffs and forgets keys at home. We head to house party and literally 10 minutes in some hot girl walks up to me and takes my handcuffs and cuffs herself to me as joke. I'm drunk and laughing at her and then realize oh shit I don't have key. We ended up spending the entire night together since we were cuffed playing beer pong. Going out for smokes and just laughing about how we are handcuffed to each other. And then I remember I have spare key at my place. Take taxi back to my apartment. Parked in a multi-story car park while we went on our first date, had some grub. End of the night I offer her a lift home. She accepts. We walk to where I parked. The multi-story car park is locked after 10 PM. I hadn't noticed signs saying this would happen and didn't think it was a ducking thing in the first place. She invites me back to her sofa after I ask for any recommendations on taxi providers. An hour later we're both having the sex of our lives. A girl at a bar said I have beautiful eyes. Everyone tells me blue shirts make my eyes look great. I was wearing one. And had just painted my bedroom blue. Skipping that context. I just replied. The door girl at the strip club asked me how I was doing. I said, underpaid and underlaid. I asked her what's up and she said hard cocks and airplanes. I had a friend in college who would just walk up and say, hi, my name is XXX. Wanna duck? He figured that although the odds were 20-1, if he asked 20, he would get one. Of course. He got a lot of crap, insults etc. But he also got laid a lot. A girl I worked with told my mate that she had a thing for me. Mate told me so on the next night out. I approached her with unflappable confidence and we had a good night. Spoke to my mate the next day about it and he told me he got her name wrong. It was another girl who liked me. Update. Thanks for the awards. Totally unnecessary but much appreciated. And yes, I did end up having a casual thing with girl to a couple of months later. A girl I met in class was lost for her next class. Showed her the way and got her number, you know. If she gets lost again. We partied for the day. She was pretty so I ran the story to my roommate. Roommate decided to play a dumb joke by sending her a message saying that I miss her already. She texted her dorm address. Brought some food but she wanted to do something else. That was it. Lol. Roommate with a high risk no look behind the back pass. Stared at this woman and when she said, what? I said, I'm trying to seduce you. I'm just really bad at it. We have 3 kids now. I jokingly told my sister's friend she was on my to-do list. She took it seriously and asked if I wanted to cross her off. Her version. My friend's brother said I was on his to-do list. I jokingly said want to cross me off? He took it seriously. I was at a bar and a girl sat down next to me. Huh? What brings you here? Me. Trying to get laid. Huh? Lol. Me too. Me. Looking around the room. Yeah. There's some good looking people here. Huh? Says nothing. Just stares at me. Me. Oh. I had my eyes on a woman at a pub for some time. Way out of my league as usual. But she was with a group of guys. When she finally was on her own, I went over and chatted her up. It was just too easy. And before you knew it we were in a cab headed back to my place. The morning after, she started referring to conversations that we never had. And that's when I realized that she'd mixed me up with the guy who she was actually going home with from the pub. He was probably just gonna go to the bathroom or something. TL. Doctor, I stole a one night stand from a guy at a pub without knowing it. My friend was at the club and he's the kind of guy that doesn't go to clubs at all. He saw a girl on the dance floor he liked and we all told him he should go talk to her. He went down and 10 minutes later we see him walking out the club with the girl he liked. We were all shocked he got a girl the first try. The next day we asked what happened and he told us he just complimented how good her belly button looked. We all laughed our ass off. Went to see Brokeback Mountain with a girl. Not really dumb. But not the movie I expected to get any after watching. Well, with a girl. Anyway. Spotless bathroom. A Tinder match said I looked like Seth Rogen. She invited me to a hangout. When I got there she told me that if she could have sex with any celebrity, it would be Seth Rogen, and I laughed. She then introduced me to a couple of her friends. And she asked them if I could FK any celebrity. Who would it be? And they both said Seth Rogen. And I was a close enough second. Let a girl eat some of my ramen at a party. She insisted on having more and I told her there was plenty more back at my apartment. I pretty much just asked. And it was someone I hadn't been flirting with or detected any attraction from. I was asking as a joke. And they said sure. I was still wondering during when we were going to end the joke. It'll be funny if you end up marrying, have a kid, grow old and die. Because neither of you wanted to break the joke. I put free oral all December on my dating profile. We've been together since the middle of last December. Even after you started charging her for oral? A woman at my job said that my feet were SI. I was wearing sandals. I said okay. Thanks. Before our workday was over she asked if I wanted to go to her place. I was like, sure. Thinking this was just a social visit. We get to her place and she says, you need to shower. I was like, I'm okay. I took a shower and she steps in as well, and from there on we had lovely sex, but she was indeed into feet and spent a lot of time sucking my toes, which I learned that day did nothing for me. He showed me his D&D minis and maps and got all shy. Jokes on him. I'm a nerd too. It's our wedding anniversary next month. Walked into a friend's dorm room to borrow a bottle opener. Didn't know he had 3-4 women in his room at the time. I saw a girl with a pretty fantastic posterior. I said with 100% confidence and conviction, and I quote, "Whoa. You have an amazing ass." I got the bottle opener and left the room. Didn't say another word. About 10 minutes later I hear a knock at my door. The girl said 4 words. "You have a girlfriend?" I said no, and that was it. We missed dinner reservations. So I suggest we go back to my place to find another restaurant. Pre-smartphone era. I lived nearby and wanted to Google something. We ended up having sex and snacking on whatever was in my kitchen. A girl was standing close to me in the bar. My friend kicked her lower leg from an angle so it seemed like I had kicked her. She turned around and kicked me back and asked why I had kicked her. I told her I wanted her attention. We spent the whole evening night together. Man, I can't wait to sleep after my shift. My bed's got plenty of room. I'll be over in 30 minutes. I lost my virginity by admitting I still had it. I said the 3 words "I'm a virgin" and within 5 minutes I wasn't anymore. I jump started a girl's car. My friend texted me saying she got a flat tire and doesn't know how to change one. Asked her where she was. And it was a 10-minute drive from my place. So I headed over to change her tire. She was hot AF, but I never made a move cause 19-year-old me believed the whole "she's out of my league" thing, and she was 2 years older. We met through mutual friends. Anyways, I told her it's all good. You can drive back home now. She said no, sit in the car, let's get you cleaned up. Confused. And I said, it's fine, I can just go back home, it's no biggie. She said just sit and chill for a bit. Next thing I know we were making out and she got on top, and I liked car sex ever since. Sadly though, that did ruin the friendship months later and we just ended it. Before my wife was my wife, she was just a random woman that came back to my house one night with other assorted ransoms my housemate and I met at the pub. At some stage I said, wanna see where I sleep? And we had the most awkward one night stand. I couldn't get it up due to alcohol. She called me the next day. We met up again. Ducked and 13 years and 3 kids later I'm replying to this post on Reddit. In college, a few girls were over just hanging out with my roommates and I. One of which I was interested in. We had a few sips of liquid courage and were having a generally nice, no mischief kind of night. Eventually the booze kicked in. Me. Okay. Who wants to play a game? Everyone. Okay, sure. What do you have in mind? Me. Who wants to have sex with our carryout? Girl, I do. So we did. My roommates were shocked that actually worked. It was night at a music festival. Midnight just struck and I looked at the girl next to me and we kissed. I then said, how'd you like to start 201x with a bang? We then went back to Tent City and got it on. Never spoke anything else or saw her again. And that, my friends, spent the evening jokingly pretending to be Irish and married to a also completely non-Irish lady in the smoker's corner. Many jokes were had. She put her arms around my shoulders and said, take me home Paddy and show me that you love me. So I did. Me. Wanna bang? Was a typo for hang. Her. Wow, how confident. Okay, sure. Come over. Friend had passed out at my house after a party. Next morning, she asked to take a shower before headed home. Sure. After water running, she's naked. She asked me to come help her with the temperature. We're good friends. I'd seen her naked before so it was odd, but I'm no prude. I help her out. 2 minutes later she asks if I have an extra toothbrush. She's still not in the shower yet. I hop to it, grab her one. She looks me square in my stupid face and says, so, do you wanna have sex or no? I pause, look back at her and gather myself. Me. Yup. I think the obvious question here is, how many times have you previously missed out on having sex with her because you were utterly clueless? So I just picked up my dog from Petco after getting him groomed and ran inside to pay my bill and pick up some dog treats. The girl at the register was clearly having a bad day. We chatted up a bit. And she explained she just got dumped by a guy over a tattoo. I told her that I was having a shitty day too. And if she wanted to give me a call after she is off and I'll buy her a beer. Later that evening she sent me a text asking if I wanted to see the tattoo she got dumped over. I said yes. She then sent me a picture of a pair wolf paws tattooed on her tits. I just responded nice and she then asked if I wanted to see them in person. I just sent her my address. And about 20 minutes later I had some very awesome rebound sex. I thought the girl sitting by me at the bar was a girl I had already slept with for like the first 5 minutes of the conversation. By the time I had realized my mistake, I had already successfully broken the ice. We had sex in my car in the parking lot. God, what happened to my life? We were playing drunk Mario Kart and I wasn't letting her win. My mate was like, bro, you should be letting her win. I said. Loud enough for her to hear. Why? Accidentally spilled my drink on a chick. Wasn't even talking to her, didn't even know her name. Oh, you wanna take me home and get me wet the right way? My now wife and I were at a con and were changing in the hotel room. She was somewhere else for the moment, so I put on my red Power Ranger costume I brought and did a SI pose on the bed as I waited for her. I must have looked like a ducking idiot. But by God it worked. Edit. Thank you all for the awards and the over 5k upvotes. I don't think I've ever gotten this much before. We used to have a game of TTY chat up lines and I managed to get laid by asking a girl if she fancied a duck. She said no. So I asked if she'd mind laying down while I have one. She was in tears laughing and took me home with her. Same game, different night. My mate says to a girl, you look good for a fat lass. How TF he got a duck out of that is beyond me, but he did. They ended up dating for 2 years after 2. Me. Hey baby, you wanna have the best sex of your life? Huh? No. Me. Well then I'm your man. I brought a big bag of lollipops to a festival. My buddy used to try to do this thing at the bar where he would dance his butt into girls and hope they'd start dancing with him. It never worked even one time. But one time I was standing on the edge of the dance floor and he was trying to do it to this girl and she grabbed onto me and pulled me into her and whispered in my ear, "Pretend to be my boyfriend," so that my friend would go away. My friend left and I danced with her all night and then spent the rest of the weekend with her. I overheard a guy talking in a bar and asked if he was Australian. He said yes and then asked if I'd ever kissed an Australian. Picked up a cute stranger, friend of a friend, at a Magic the Gathering event. He was in town for a very serious family reason. And I agonized over whether it was inappropriate to ask but decided to go for it. Probably my favorite Azul encounter I've had. Tapped his mountain. Edit my first awards. I was hanging out with a friend and she suggested we watch Up after hearing I had never seen it. Without warning me that it was sad. I started bawling during the married life scene and she paused and asked me if she could do anything to make me feel better and I joked I didn't even think an orgasm could make me feel better after that. We had been joking about masturbating earlier and it made sense at the time. She said, "Wanna find out?" Apostrophe. To this day I cannot watch that movie without being both sad and horny. An orgasm did make me feel better though. Edit. I'm a girl lesbian. This story probably fits better from the guy's point of view, but I was out dancing at an alternative club in a big pair of zombie heels. Started dancing with a guy that wasn't very tall, but had to stop because my feet were hurting. He then offered to swap shoes with me to give me a bit of a break. He rocked the shit out of them and was an absolute natural, strutting around the place. I was so happy to wear sneakers and dazzled by this guy's heel wearing ability that he got my number and I went to his place the next day. A girl sent me a text saying she was in the shower. I replied with "without me?" She invited me over and the following events occurred. Still can't believe it actually worked. 100% the corniest shit I've ever said. I still think about it sometimes. Edit. Some people wanted the rest of the story because following events wasn't enough. I went over to her place. And we had a shower together. This was about 6 years ago. We've been together ever since. But I think it's a pretty funny, corny way of getting together. Thanks for the awards too. Never got any before. Edit 2. I hadn't considered phones being non-water resistant at the time. But after years of dating I discovered she had actually been taking her non-waterproof phone into the bathroom when she'd shower. She'd have it on the floor with a towel above it and after she'd finished cleaning herself she'd sit down and have her hands dried off. Outside of the shower to use her phone while the rest of her body was in the shower still. We were walking home and we both dared each other to get naked. The obvious thing ensued. Edit. Damn, I've never ever had this many upvotes. I'm karma rich bitch. Thanks everybody. Thanks for the silver. And the hugs. Damn, that must have been quite a sight for the other pedestrians. Matched with a chick on Bumble. Huh? I'm not Rapunzel but I'd let you pull my hair. Me. I feel like I'd be better equipped to make a witty comeback if only I'd seen Tangled. Huh? Go ahead. I'll wait. Me. Is it on Netflix? Huh? It is. Me. Wanna come over and watch it with me? Huh? Sure. So like an hour later she showed up at my place and I put Tangled on but I was balls deep in her before the first number was over. The joke's on her though. I'd totally seen that movie already. Pornhub director is so happy RN. Visited 2 girls while I was on vacation who I knew from Tinder. They told me and a friend of mine that we can stay at their place so we don't need to pay for a hotel. Later we were in the city for a few drinks and on our way home my conversation with one of the girls was something like this. Me. I really need to shower. It was like 27:00 at night. Girl. Me too. But I am going first. Me. But girls always take like 5 times as long. Girl. Yee. Still going first. Me. Oh. F you. Girl. Sure. Was walking back to a friend's house after a night out. Then this girl just grabbed me and said, "You are coming with me." It was pretty weird the next morning. Pretending a paintbrush was a microphone and using it to drunkenly interview people at a bar. In college, a girl I knew was celebrating her birthday at an ice skating rink. She invited me to go and her boyfriend offered to drive. She introduced me to a new friend of hers and she and I had to sit next to each other in the backseat of a very small economy car. For the first 30 minutes she seemed like she didn't care if I lived or died. I was fine with that. But then she suddenly started talking to me. We got to the skating rink and she was talkative and flirty. She was very cute. One thing led to another and in less than a week we were in bed. The first time we finished having sex, I asked her what happened. "I didn't think you were interested in me and then all of a sudden you were. What changed?" She said, "Remember when we were stuck in the car? You folded your arms and your left hand under your right arm accidentally touched my left breast and it felt great. That was it. I accidentally touched her breast. I didn't even know it happened. P.S. I did a hand fart and she laughed. I said I can make it sound like a question and did it. She bought me a drink and we went back to my place." Back when Hot or Not was a thing, some girl messaged me. We chatted for a minute. Didn't really take it seriously. I was early 20s and doing pretty okay. Meeting people from the internet was kinda weird. She asks what I'm doing for the night. I said I'm going to the grocery store. She says, "Like all night?" Or, I said take it or leave it. So she met me at the grocery store. We walk around and chat while I compare price per ounce. She helps me take my groceries home and inside. We bang it out. I make dinner and we get back at it. Wake up in the morning and have breakfast. Then I make breakfast. We dated for the summer. Horse girl. Fantastic thighs. She was cool. So horse girl. Like a centaur? Well, I felt bad for a guy who hadn't slept with someone in months, so why not? He was decent. What about for a guy who hasn't done it at all?